Welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I'm your host, Ron Dichter. Thanks for tuning in today. I'd like to cover a topic today about knowing who to hire as your business starts to scale and knowing what type of person you're hiring. And it's really important because I talk to a lot of business owners and business leaders, and I often hear a couple things. You probably remember the book Good to Great, and you talk about the right people on the bus. And then I hear a lot of people saying they want to level up and hire a better skill set or a more qualified person so they don't have to spend as much time training. And it's really, I think, a very interesting topic because what we say as business owners versus what we need as business owners are not always the same thing. And it's really something you've got to understand where you are at as a business, where you are at as a business leader, and what you really want versus what you think you want. So what do I mean by this? Let's start with the topic of, leveling up. So, let's say your business is starting to grow, you're having some success, and you think you need, different people, that maybe than what you started with. And this is oftentimes in a startup where you're only able to hire a certain caliber of person because you're constrained by resources. And let's say the business starts to grow and you have more resources so you can afford to make, quote, better hires that allow you to hire people, who are leveling up your skill. Well, careful what you wish for. You need to be sure that your business, and more importantly, you, are ready for that kind of person. Because it's very easy to say, I want to hire a better skilled person, but do you really know what that means, not just in the hiring, but what their expectations are when they come in? So is your business ready, and are you ready as a business owner to hire people that might have their own thoughts and opinions and wishes on how certain things should be built? Maybe you're hiring a new operations director or VP of operations, or maybe you've grown and you're hiring a COO. Well, with each of those hires comes an expectation of that person that they're going to have a level of autonomy to be able to solve problems, implement processes that they believe are the best interest of the business. However, you as a business leader and a business owner may not actually be ready to relinquish some of the control and input on those things within your business. And I'm not saying that you are right or wrong here. I just need you to be aware of where you are at and where the business is at before you start saying that you need to level up in hiring a more qualified person, because with that comes the expectations that this qualified person is going to know how to solve things, and it might be different than how you want them solved or how you think they should be solved. The reason that you're trying to level up is that you want to free up that, bandwidth of your time so that you can focus on different parts of the business. But with that comes the responsibility of being able to make sure that the person you hired, you understand that they're going to come with their own sets of solves and solutions that might be different and frankly might be better than what you can come up with on your own. But if you're not in a position where you are comfortable to relinquish that, well, then that hire is going to get frustrated and it's not going to work out. So understanding where you are at as a business, understanding where you are at as a business owner or leader are important steps to understand before you say, I just want to level up. Because it might just be you need more people to carry out your wishes. You may have a solve or a problem or a solution or whatever it is you're doing that you want implemented, but the reason it can't be carried out isn't that you don't have the right people, it's just you don't have enough of them. You don't have enough people to deliver your orders. But again, leveling up comes with it an expectation that they are going to bring their own viewpoints, their own solutions, and their own skills that might be different, oftentimes might be better than what you can do on your own. But if you're not in a place where you can let go, they're going to fail, you're going to get frustrated, and it's not going to work out. So I think having that, objective awareness of where you're at as a leader and where your business is at are important before you start saying, I need to level up. Because it could very well mean you just actually need more people to deliver on your orders. And if that's where you're at, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. but being aware of that is important. So please take note of where you're at as a leader, where you're at as a business before you start saying, I want to level up. The second piece of this is making sure that you have the right people on your team. So inevitably what happens as your business grows is people go from generalists, where, let's say you're a small startup with 5 people, but there's 25 different things that people have to do in a day. Well, that means that every person is going to have to tackle 5 different things and become, really surface level good at each of those 5 things. But as your business grows, do you want more generalists? Or is it now time to decide, do you need more specialists, where maybe instead of 5 people doing 25 things, maybe you have 15 people doing 25 things. And that way, 1 or 2 people might have to have 2 roles that they're focused on, but the majority of the people can focus on one single task at hand, allowing them to go really deep and become really good at that one specific thing that they're focused on. So understanding, the right people in the right position also means that you have enough people to fill all the positions available. And I think the first thing that people do is they try to build positions around people as opposed to people around positions. And I'm a big believer that you need to first figure out what the position is that you're trying to fill. And then once you understand what that position is that you're trying to fill, then you objectively look at your current team and say, do I have a person or persons that can fill that role? But I find, a lot of small businesses, and frankly, I'm guilty of this myself, where you have a handful of people that were really instrumental in getting the business off the ground and getting it to where it is today. But as you grow and scale, again, generalists might not be what you're after. You need to have specialists, but you don't know that until you actually define the roles that people are going to be filling. So the first part of this is actually outlining out what roles you need filled in the business. Then look at your roster and say, do I have people that could specifically fill that role? And then what do I need? What gap do I have to fill to be able to pick up the pieces I don't have? And sometimes you have to make hard decisions where the person who got you and the business to where it is today may actually not be somebody that fills a useful role as the company evolves and grows. And that's not bad. It's just evolution of how the business goes. And knowing those things ahead of time, meaning where you can carve out the positions as opposed to the people around the positions, it allows you to make better, more strategic long-term decisions. So when I hear about making sure you have the right people on the team, the right people doesn't necessarily mean just people who have the right attitude or right belief. I mean, those are important, don't get me wrong, but it also could be very simple, like, do you have people who can actually fill the roles that you need filled? And if the answer to that is you have some really great people, but none of them are capable of doing the role that you need them to do, well, now you have a different problem on your hands, and you need to, again, understand what you're trying to fill, understand what the company needs, and then it allows you to, from there, figure out, do I have the right people, or do I need to get different people on my proverbial bus, boat, whatever analogy you want to use. So again, the 2 things for today that are important is, before you decide you want to level up, understand what you want this person to do. Make sure that you're in a place and your business is in a place where you're willing to accept what leveling up means in the way of what they bring to the table and what their expectations are. And then the second takeaway for the day is making sure that you understand the positions or roles that you need first, then decide, do you have the right people and do you need more people to fill those roles, not people first and then building the roles around the people skills. So anyway, these are things I do in my current business, things I've done in the past, mistakes I've learned. I hope you find them helpful. Please remember to like and comment, and most importantly, share. We're putting a good message out there, helping people become who they are meant to be, but sometimes they need a little shove, kick, push to do it. So share this out with them, and let's get the message out there. Have a good day.